We are live.
Yay! It's hump day. Um, Welcome back. I am old new dude. He is.
Richard York, Asher's Trueborn son.
This is brand two. And just uh, different from the last chapter. It's a longer chapter. There's more into it. I usually don't really like brand chapters. They're not my favorite. Um, but this one was a really good one. I actually did like this one. So if you,
I really like the Bran chapters in terms of, especially what we're doing here, in terms of studying them. I mean, are they the most fun chapters to read? No, but
no.
are they the ones that are perhaps the most interesting as far as providing, evidence for what's really going on with the magic and so forth? I think they usually are. So,
Yeah. Well,
so I, so
the
I call
first.
them interesting, but not as fun, but perhaps the most interesting. And
Yeah,
so,
on that point, the first couple times I read, I was reading for story. I was wanting to get to John. These were just they're
right.
like Catlin chapters for me. I have to read them to get to the next chapter type situation. Get to Arya, get to Danny, get to John, and sometimes I still have a hard time reading Danny's. But as this reread with you, I don't know if I'm enjoying the chapter more or I'm enjoying what I'm finding in the chapter
Yeah,
that
that's a good point
makes
of
the
putting it.
chapter more
Makes
enjoyable.
sense. Yeah. Well, the Order of the Green Hand has said nobody looks forward to the Bran chapters. I'm like, I don't
Yeah,
know, man.
yeah.
I
I
find them
mean, there's
I find them the
usually
most interesting for what I'm really trying to figure out. But
they definitely have the more stuff to find. And Danny's another one of those chapters that I don't enjoy him as much as I should. But on this reread, I'm seeing that there's a lot more there than the first couple times you read the chapter, just
yeah,
reading it. But all right, if you see any of these, we start with Richard's observations in the chapter, and then we'll jump in with my stupid stuff. So take it away, Richard.
yeah. In this chapter, talk of Targaryen incest for some reason it's going to trigger Bran's memory. Hi,
Excuse me.
Lizzie. Uh,
Hey, Lizzie, are you feeling better? I hadn't saw an update on how you were feeling. Are you feeling better?
well, we'll check in on Lindsay as she can just update us here.
All right,
Long before the first. Oh, good, excellent.
good to hear.
Long before the first pale fingers of light pried apart Bran's shutters, his eyes were opened. There were guests in Winterfell, visitors come for the harvest feast. This morning they would be tilting at Quintain's in the yard. Once that prospect would have filled him with excitement, but that was before. Bran's life is defined by before and after.
Now, am I mistaken? Wasn't the saddle and the training of the horse uh, to allow him to still joust somewhat?
I don't think it was ever claimed that he would be able to joust.
Didn't Tyrion tell him he would still be as tall as any knight sitting in the
Yeah, I
saddle or
didn't say
something like?
that. That's true.
Yeah,
Yeah, he definitely
okay.
said
I
that.
might have read too much
But
into it.
I don't know that the force of a lance would work necessarily.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's been discussed.
Okay.
Listen, and it may be that you will learn something of what lordship is all about, Maester Lewin had said. Bran never asked to be a prince. It was knighthood he had always dreamed of. Bright armor and streaming banners, lance and sword, a war horse between his legs. Why must he waste his days listening to old men speak of things he only half understood? Because you're broken, a voice inside reminded him. A voice
Yep.
inside, perhaps the enemy. All right,
Perhaps.
you pretty much convinced me that there ought to be two players. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, anytime that there is a inner monologue voice type thing, and it doesn't specifically say that the person that's brain it is in thought it, then I automatically assume that it's not their thought; it's somebody else
sure, sure. It doesn't
jumping
feel
in
like
there.
Bran would be doing this to himself, but then again,
Yeah.
maybe he would. Rob would tell him not to play the boy, he knew. He could almost hear him, and their Lord Father as well. Winter is coming, and you are almost a man grown, Bran. You have a duty. So Ned and Rob will leave behind a legacy and how their family acts and thinks about them.
Yeah.
One time, Hodor smelled bread baking and ran to the kitchens, and Bran got such a crack that Maester Lewin had to sew up his scalp. For Bran and Hodor, doors can be painful.
Yeah, I'm still not. I mean, as much as I'm looking forward to Winds of Winter,
Yeah.
that is definitely one of those. I'm not looking forward to seeing. I don't want to see a hole in the door.
Yeah, we
And
don't want that.
before we
We
go
don't
any
want that pain.
further, there was Lord Wyman Manderley had arrived from White Harbor 2 days past, traveling by barge and litter. He was too fat to sit a horse. With him had come a long tail of retainers, knight squires, lesser lords, ladies. Um, the knights and squires and the long tail. I wonder how many men actually Lord Manderley kept. Because there's a couple of hundred that the Ramsay collects from the Bolton lands, and we know Lady Dustin didn't send a lot, but as large of a city as White Harbor is, how many knights are actually still left at White Harbor, and could it possibly be more than we think? Because now we're given a rough estimate in the conspiracy of the North.
And part of it is that he may be continuing to conscript, because I think when we see White Harbor, we'll see that there's more people flowing into that city.
Right.
It's sort of like King's Landing. It's the wealthy, protected city, and so you've got the steady flow of people in. So he may be conscripting more people.
Right. I want to say, besides the Boltons, the Manderleys are considered to possibly have the not an enormous amount of people in Winterfell, but like the second or third amount. But I'm thinking that there is even a ton more at White Harbor.
First, Lizzie said Hodor broken heart, and
Yeah.
said Wyman, my fantasy ship is Wyla and Rickon, because everyone should know.
There you go. That's a good one too. Sorry.
That's all right. Continuing. Little Walter courted the twin towers of Frey with the brindled boar of his grandmother's house and the plowman of his mother's, Crakehall and Derry respectively. Big Walter's quarterings were the tree and ravens of House Blackwood and the twining snakes of the pages. They must be hungry for honor, Bran thought as he watched them take up their lances. A Stark needs only the direwolf. Arya might disagree, and the sword of the morning for the true Stark would seem to imply quite a bit of honor from his mother's house.
There you go. Oh, before you get to this next little part, it is when they're talking about when he's talking about how the phrase tilt, and it's he talks about little Walter strikes the better, and then Big Walter sat his horse better. Which in this book, anytime horsemanship is brought up, it may be a hint, because he does have Blackwood blood in his, so it might be something to watch for.
Right, that makes sense. Yeah,
later on down the road. Sorry.
Sense. No, I like it. We were having a jape with Hodor, confessed Big Walter. I'm sorry if we offended Prince Bran. We only meant to be amusing. He at least had the grace to look abashed. Big Walter is so much better at politics, and he's even doing the whole politician apology, right? I'm sorry if, right?
Yeah.
If this, anyway.
Which still might be another hint to look forward to his blood. Never mind. Which one dies? Big Walter or Little Walter?
Little Walter.
Okay.
And according to Preston, he's murdered by Ramsay.
Yeah. What'd she say? Davos hits White Harbor. There are a ton of people, and someone tells him the Lord is hiring. Paraphrasing. So he's definitely yes. Thank you, Lizzie. She agrees with you 100%.
All right. I'm not seeing that one on the. I don't know why it didn't come
Put it
through.
up.
Oh, there we go. I don't know why it didn't come through on mine.
I didn't read it out loud. Sorry.
That's all right. You probably assumed that I had it, and for some reason I don't. Yeah, he's definitely conscripting. Okay. A good lord comforts and protects the weak and helpless, he told the Freys. I want to have you making Hodor the butt of cruel jests. Do you hear me? Freys are not good lords, so Wyman might be right.
Yeah, this is true.
Bran ran a hand across the rough wood of the table and begged Lord Wyman's pardons for being late. Why, no prince is ever late, the Lord of White Harbor responded amiably. Those who arrive before him have come early, that's all. Wyman's always fun.
It definitely has a joy to him. Uh, not to go down a rabbit hole, but I'm sure you're familiar with Lord Wyman Manderley and Illyrio Mompatis being the same person, glamored, whatever. Have you heard that one?
No, but I can certainly see why people might come to that conclusion. And
Yeah,
of
I
course,
mean, they're both very large. They're both very verbal. They're both funny. Um, they have similar characteristics. I'm not saying it's true or anything, but
right,
I like
right,
it's one of those I like to laugh. I don't dive down that rabbit hole, but I like to laugh at it.
right. I mean, the one that's funniest is the one where perhaps Illyrio is not even fat, and he's actually a glamour daughter
That's
son.
another thing
That
about
one's kind of funny.
well, they're
I kind
saying
of
that the same
well, there's
thing
certainly
with
hints.
Wyman. Wyman's the same way. He's light on his feet. He's dancing. I mean, they're saying that all the weight on Lord Manderley is also a glamour as with Illyria. That's I think is what really actually started the theory that they possibly might be the same person.
Okay.
Sorry.
In addition to a mint, Lord Manderley also proposed to build Rob a war fleet. We've had no strength at sea for hundreds of years, since Brandon the Burner put the torch to his father's ships. Grant me the gold, and within the year I will float you sufficient galleys to take Dragonstone and King's Landing both. Brand's interest pricked up at talk of warships. No one asked him, but he thought Lord Wyman's notion a splendid one. In his mind's eye, he could see them already. He wondered if a cripple had ever commanded a warship. But Sir Roderick promised only to send the proposal on to Rob for his consideration, while Maester Lewin scratched at the parchment. So we know Wyman definitely was forward with this idea, but I don't know that we ever see Rob actually sign off on this idea.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing Rob sign off on it either. And Lizzie says Wyman is like Highlander. There can be only one. Well, I mean, if you stop to think about it, when he gets there, he's telling them all the fortifications and all that stuff he's doing. He's doing exactly what Ned told Cat to tell Rob to tell Lord Manderley to do. So, I mean, he's doing everything that the Lord of White Harbor should be doing. And you would think, I mean, he didn't wait for the gold. He
Yeah,
started
and we
building.
should maybe I need to go back and look at the actual commands that Ned gives Catelyn, which she sends on from the Vale. That might be the clue that
I don't know if he says
Ned.
warships, but he definitely does say
Oh,
fortifications.
but he wouldn't be asking if that was the case, right? If he already had the order, then yeah, he wouldn't be asking. So he must not.
Yeah. Well, he told him he did the fortifications and he asked about the warships. So I don't remember. I don't think Ned said anything about warships, but Wyman
Right,
definitely
right.
doesn't.
Well, I mean, because he wouldn't be asking if he'd already had the order from
Right.
Catelyn's Raven. And he's been doing it this whole time, Lizzie says, minting and building. Yep.
Yep.
Past time I took another wife. Don't you agree, my lords? A man does get lonely. Tossing the bones aside, he reached for a leg. Or if the lady fancies a younger lad, well, my son Wendell is unwed as well. He's off south guarding Lady Catelyn, but no doubt he will wish to take a bride on his return. A valiant boy and jolly. Just the man to teach her to laugh again, eh? Sadly, not a jolly fate awaiting either of them.
No.
He cared nothing about marriages. I wish I was down in the yard. Bran the bastard might care about John's parents' marriage and wins. His lordship waited until the table had been cleared before he raised the matter of a letter he'd received from Lord Tywin Lannister, who held his elder son, Sir Willis, taken captive on the Green Fork. He offers him back to me without ransom, provided I withdraw my levies from his grace and vow to fight no more. You will refuse him, of course, said Sir Roderick. Have no fear on that count, the Lord assured them. King Rob is no more loyal servant than Wyman Manderley. I would be loath to see my son languish at Harrenhal any longer than he must, however. That is an ill place. Cursed, they say. Not that I am the sort to swallow such tales, but still, there it is. Look what's befallen this Jana Slint, raised up to Lord of Harrenhal by the Queen and cast down by her brother. Shipped off to the wall, they say. I pray some equitable exchange of captives can be arranged before too very long. I know Willis would not want to sit out the rest of the war. Gallant, that son of mine, and fierce as a mastiff. The North remembers, Lord Davos. The North remembers, and the mummer's farce is almost done. My son is home.
Not that I am the sort to swallow such tales. Um, with the rat cook, swallow tails. It just popped in my head. I thought it was funny.
Interesting. Yeah, okay. We are very sorry for all you have suffered, my lady, Bran said when she came before him to speak her words of greetings. Lord Hornwood had been killed in the battle of the Green Fork, their only son cut down in the Whispering Wood. Winterfell will remember. That is good to know. She was a pale husk of a woman, every line of her face etched with grief. I am very weary, my lord. If I might have leave to rest, I should be thankful. We readers are very sorry for what she will suffer, especially those of us who understand the real reason Ramsay's starving prisoners choose to bite off their own fingers.
Yeah.
Love that hype at the end. Yep. Bolton's bastard is massing men at the Dreadfort, she warned them. I hope he means to take him south to join his father at the Twins. But when I sent to ask his intent, he told me that no Bolton would be questioned by a woman, as if he were trueborn and had a right to that name. I definitely like Preston's interpretation. Pale blue eyes are an X-chromosome-linked trait and nearly impossible to inherit from father to son. It's questionable whether a newborn a year after a sexual encounter could be the result of the event. And Ramsay seems to have zero traits of Roose aside from the X-chromosome-linked trait of pale blue eyes. Theon killed the sons of a miller's wife he was definitely sleeping with. Roose acknowledges a bastard of a miller's wife who was likely trueborn. Similarly, as the Coconut God reminds us, any trueborn sons of Laenor Velaryon, younger than their late teens, should have pug noses and Baratheon dark hair if we understand modern genetics and the timing and development of noses and Baratheon dark hair. No matter how many times he tries, if his aquiline nose is his dominant feature, Lenore should never have any boys younger than their late teens that look like him. Prepubescent girls should also have pug noses, although that is somewhat less relevant. It might not be a coincidence that George made all three of Lenore's offspring male, as that tends to make aquiline noses develop even later. Anyway,
okay.
Just while we're on the topic of the way that modern understanding of genetics would lead one to the opposite conclusions that people draw in the stories. That's my point. He lived with his mother until 2 years passed, when young Domeric died and left Bolton without an heir. That was when he brought his bastard to the Dreadfort. The boy's a sly creature by all accounts, and he has a servant who is almost as cruel as he is. Reek, they call the man. It's said he never bathes. They hunt together, the bastard and this Reek, and not for deer. I've heard tales, things I can't scarce believe, even of a Bolton. And now that my lord husband and my sweet son have gone to the gods, the bastard looks at my lands hungrily. Bran wanted to give the lady 100 men to defend her rights, but Sir Roderick only said, "You may look, but should he do more, I promise you there will be dire retribution. You'll be safe enough, my lady, though perhaps in time, when the grief is past, you may find it prudent to wed again." "I have passed my childbearing years. What beauty I had long fled," she replied with a tired half smile. "Yet men come sniffing after me as they never did when I was a maid." "You do not look favorably on these suitors?" asked Lewin. "I shall wed again if his grace commands it," Lady Hornwood replied. "But Morris Crowfoot is a drunken brute and older than my father. As for my noble cousin of Manderley, my lord's bed is not large enough to hold one of his majesty, and I'm surely too small and frail to lie beneath him." Bran knew that men slept on top of women when they shared a bed. Sleeping under Lord Manderley would be like sleeping under a fallen horse, he imagined. Sir Roderick gave the widow a sympathetic nod. "You'll have other suitors, my lady. We shall try and find you a prospect more to your taste." "Perhaps you need not look very far, sir." After she had taken her leave, Maester Lewin smiled. "Sir Roderick, I do believe my lady fancies you." And then a bit later, "Why can't you marry her?" Bran asked. "You said she was comely and Beth would have a mother." And then a bit later, "Then let Lord Hornwood's bastard be the heir," Bran said, thinking of his half-brother John. Sir Roderick said, "That would please the Glovers and perhaps Lord Hornwood's shade as well, but I do not think Lady Hornwood would love us. The boy is not of her blood." "Still," said Maester Lewin, "it must be considered. Lady Donella is past her fertile years, as she said herself. If not the bastard, who?" So both of Bran's suggestions, naming an heir or marrying her to the man she fancies, would have prevented her fate, right? If it had been formalized. Even just a betrothal to Wyman's son would have probably been enough. No, maybe not.
I don't know. I mean, the North tends to take their
Yeah.
their word and betrothal's a lot more serious. I mean, I would
Well,
think.
other than Rob.
Yeah, well, you kind of slam dunked on that one. I'm sorry. Well,
No,
he's half
you're
Tully,
right. You're
so
right. It is serious. No, you're right. I agree actually. You did well. Bran flushed with pleasure. Being a lord was not so tedious as he had feared, and since Lady Hornwood had been so much briefer than Lord Manderley, he even had a few hours of daylight left to visit with Summer. We all like acknowledgement of our efforts.
yes.
Shaggy, he called. Here, Shaggy dog, to me. But Rickon's wolf vanished as swiftly as he'd appeared. Shaggy's a little wild, and Bran has not achieved his godlike powers yet.
Nope.
Ripples were running across the surface of the water when they arrived, making the reflection of the weirwood shimmer and dance. There was no wind, though. For an instant, Bran was baffled. And then Osha exploded up out of the pool with a great splash, so sudden that even Summer leapt back, snarling. Osha is amazing, as usual.
Yeah. She is definitely one of my favorite secondary characters.
Other than Rob. Septon Shale says he has a gentle spirit. Aye, she said, and hand strong enough to twist a man's head off his shoulders if he takes a mind to. All the same, he better watch his back around that Walder. Him and you both. The big one they call Little. It comes to me, he's well named. Big outside, little inside, and mean down to the bones. Twisting heads is the whites' preferred method of killing.
There you go.
The one cold pool. Yep. Possibly where the ice dragon died, right?
Also, possibly bottomless.
Yep. Did you mention that? Probably kind of that sort of ties it to Danny, right? In the Dutch Queen.
Yeah.
You have more of them wolf dreams? No, he did not like to talk about the dreams. A prince should lie better than that, Osha laughed. Well, your dreams are your business. Mine's in the kitchens, and I'd best be getting back before Gage starts to shouting and waving that big wooden spoon of his. So Micken lengthens Osha's chains periodically, and so she's definitely had dealings with Micken, and
Mm,
Osha is sleeping with Gage, right? So
yeah.
so those are basically the two names at Winterfell that Osha knows best, and it's probably not a coincidence that Crowfoot asked Jane about the two characters at Winterfell that Osha knows. So there's hints that Davos is already back, right? Davos kind of disappears pretty early on in Dance,
Mm,
you know, and so that's relatively early that he gets set, or at least there's still maybe not that early, but there's still a significant portion of Dance after Davos goes off to. Right. I mean, in fact, Wyman goes over to Winterfell, and we have all the events occurring at Winterfell and so forth. So,
yeah.
so the fact that Crowfood seems to know, seems to have discussed with Osha how to verify Arya's identity, right? That,
Right.
the blacksmith's name is Micken, the cook's name is Gage, right? Um, so the two things that Osha would likely suggest to verify James actually Arya are the two that he uses, right? So that might imply that Osha is actually back.
Okay. I never knew that.
Sir Roderick pulled at his whiskers. You have force of tall pine and old oak. Lord Manderley has shipwrights and sailors in plenty. Together you ought to be able to float enough longships to guard both your coasts. Well, I guess that explains why Rob doesn't order the shipbuilding. It's kind of ordered right here.
Yeah. Actually, masterfully done too.
Yeah. Your notion about the bastard may have merit, Bran, Mr. Lewin said after. One day you'll be a good lord of Fur Winterfell, I think. No, I won't. Bran knew he would never be a lord, no more than he could be a knight. Rob's to marry some Frey girl. You told me so yourself, and the Walders say the same. He'll have sons, and they'll be the lords of Winterfell after him, not me. It may be so, Bran, Sir Roderick said, but I was wed 3 times, and my wives gave me daughters. Now only Beth remains to me. My brother Martin fathered 4 strong sons, yet only Jory lived to be a man. When he was slain, Martin's line died with him. When we speak of the morrow, nothing is ever certain. So there's obviously foreshadowing here.
Yeah.
Any error or betrothal would potentially prevent the disaster that's going to happen.
Yes.
I had a thought to send my younger son to Lady Danella to foster as her own. Baron is near 10, a likely lad, and her own nephew. He would cheer her, I am certain, and perhaps he would even take the name Hornwood, if he were named heir, suggested Maester Lewin. So the house might continue, finished Leopold. Bran knew what to say. Thank you for the notion, my lord, he blurted out before Sir Roderick could speak. We will bring the matter to my brother Rob. Oh, and Lady Hornwood. Leopold seemed surprised that he had spoken. I am grateful, my prince, he said, but Bran saw pity in his pale blue eyes, mingled perhaps with a little gladness that the cripple was, after all, not his son. For a moment he hated the man. Maester Lewin liked him better, though. Baron Tellhart may well be our best answer, he told them when Leopold had gone. Just name anyone, or a betrothal, either way.
Yeah.
Did Stannis write Winterfell as well? Stannis? I don't know. He's the king now, too, Claves confided. He says Queen Cersei bedded her brother, so Joffrey is a bastard. Joffrey the ill-born, one of the Cohen knights growled. Small wonder he's faithless, with the Kingslayer for a father. Aye, said another, the gods hate incest. Look how they brought down the Targaryens. For a moment, Bran felt as though he could not breathe. A giant hand was crushing his chest. He felt as though he was falling and clutched desperately at Dancer's reins. So strange that talk of Targaryens and incest would have triggered Bran. It must just be a coincidence, right? Or perhaps not. See, Tribble Targaryens, episode 5. That night, Bran prayed to his father's gods for a dreamless sleep. If the gods heard, they mocked his hopes, for the nightmare they sent was worse than any wolf dream. Fly or die, cried the three-eyed crow as it pecked at him. He wept and pleaded, but the crow had no pity. It put out his left eye and then his right. And when he was blind in the dark, it pecked at his brow, driving its terrible sharp beak deep into his skull. He screamed until he was certain his lungs must burst. The pain was an axe splitting his head apart. But when the crow wrenched out its beak, all slimy with bits of bone and brain, Bran could see again. What he saw made him gasp in fear. He was clinging to a tower miles high, and his fingers were slipping, nails scrabbling at the stone, his legs dragging him down, stupid, useless, dead legs. Help me, he cried. A golden man appeared in the sky above him and pulled him up. The things I do for love, he murmured softly as he tossed him out, kicking into empty air. Bran will later tell us the tree calling him north appears in the crow dreams, but we can see it ourselves. Up next, back to Tyrion.
You're talking about the
and a brief mention earlier, Lizzie says. yeah. We also discussed John's parents' wedding too. She's driving, so she's trying not to text too much.
Now, on the three-eyed crow and Bloodraven being two different people, he dreamed of the weirwood. It was looking at him with its deep red eyes.
I should have quoted that part because you can see that and he specifically, when he talks about the crow dreams, says that the tree appears in the crow dreams, and later we'll see the crow literally fly out, or maybe we already saw it.
Yeah, this one
literally flying with the tree. So the tree and the crow are definitely appearing at the same time, and so they appear to be two different people. So it would be a little weird for the tree not to be Brendan, right?
Yeah. Well, and then what does it says? Pecking his face and crying his name in a voice as sharp as swords. Well, you got the tree calling to Bran. You got the crow flying out of the tree, pecking at him, and calling and calling to Bran in a high. The crow is saying the exact same word that the tree is Bran, but he's doing it louder to where it drowns out the tree. It's easier to drown out a sound if you make the exact same sound, but only louder. Does that make sense?
Sure.
If I'm saying Bran, and you're screaming Bran at the top of your lungs, and you're saying it at the exact same time I'm saying it, nobody's going to hear me say Bran. So, it's I can't understand why people think they're the same people.
The appendix tells them they are, and there's reasons to believe that. It's just
yeah, but the reasons I know it's ambiguous, and
right.
Everybody's right until the books come out, but there are certain things that I'm like, I can't understand why people don't see it that way.
Of course, as we've said before, the appendix says all sorts of things that we know are to be false, like the Joffrey's trueborn, the John's a bastard, and so forth, right? So,
Right. Yeah, there's definitely several things in the appendixes aren't true, but it's that's what the story says so far. So that's what the appendix says. But
right.
and also the crow's food umber that has the chunk of dragon glass in his eye, uh, much like Aemon One Eye has the sapphire in his eye or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Do could crow's food actually have any kind of a vision type thing
Right.
from dragon
Does,
glass?
does the symbolism of losing an eye actually imply the person is somehow touched by the gods or related to
Or
having
just
additional wisdom or having
access to that
it's a good
dragon
question.
glass, being able to like Marwyn uses a burning candle. Is there any magic going on with that dragon glass?
It is a fantasy series, and they obviously there's magic associated with that. So yeah,
Yeah,
perhaps.
something to look out for. That's a pretty good chapter. And then
Yeah, like I
earlier
said, when
book,
it comes to analysis and digging in, I think Brent chapters are frequently the best.
the was definitely with the first couple of books, the funnest chapters to read are Tyrion's, until it starts getting
Yeah,
darker and darker, and
right,
then
and then it becomes Jamie. Once
and
Jamie's,
then becomes Jamie. Yeah, I mean,
especially
they,
especially once Jamie's decided that he wants to be good.
yeah, Jamie the Golden Hand, the Just. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what is the next Tyrion chapter?
Yeah, this is the
Okay,
next
okay,
chapter
okay.
23.
I know what it is. It's the Tyrion playing a trick on everybody would
Oh
find
yeah,
out.
1, 2, 3. It's the 1, 2, 3. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I don't know if that corresponds to anything in Ned's chapters or not. And
That
as much as
reminds
I
me,
can
I need
think
to
of
go
off the top of
back
my
and
head.
read Ned 4 to compare to the last Tyrion chapter. I meant to
Right,
do it.
right,
Meant to do it last night because when you mentioned it and I forgot, but I'll try to do it
right,
today.
right. Yeah, so have to be on the lookout, see if there's anything that kind of jumps out as it being similar to Ned's arc in next Tyrion's next chapter here. All right.
What did Lizzie say? I love it. Yeah, 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 yeah. It's a really good chapter.
Yeah, it's kind of funny though when you think about it because he kind of fools himself into not trusting the one of the three that's not trying to destroy his family. The one that's actually loyal to his family is the one that he tricks himself into not trusting. And just because he's loyal to the person who's supposed to be the regent and the ultimate authority in the kingdom, right? And he's
Yeah,
like, he's being loyal to the queen regent. He's supposed to be loyal to the queen regent. Anyway, I just think
yeah.
it's kind of funny that Tyrion like pulls himself into trusting the two that are actively trying to destroy his family.
Seconds for the raised warriors, not barbers. uh, Also, Tyrion surrounds himself with some of the funniest people in the story too,
Oh
in
yeah,
in
yeah.
their own way.
Although I still like the fact that one of my favorite lines is actually the heir to the twin talking about when his father's still alive, talking about um, how that ought not prove much difficulty. It's because it's in a Jamie chapter when Jamie has taken over that role, right? And so now you've got a guy who's notoriously mean and smart. And his dad is notoriously dumb, right?
Yeah,
He's like that ought not provide much difficulty or something like that. It's anyway, that's one of my favorite lines in the series. Um, I'm not really. Um, I'm certainly no fan of the phrase, but he is pretty funny.
all right. All right. Well, that's brand two. I mean, it's a good chapter. Thank you, Lizzie. I'm glad you're
Yeah,
feeling better.
yeah, me
Shout
too.
out to Lady Thistle, Violent Car, Swagger Dagger, um, James Martin. But I know you catch us whenever you can. I know you're busy. He works Monday through Thursday, but they're really long days. So have a good one. Same time Friday.
Sounds good.
Okay. We will see y'all Friday with Tyrion 4. And thank y'all for joining us today. Y'all have a good day. Stay safe. Take care. Oh, on my Stark armor front, it came in. I took it out of the package last night. I was going to do a video, but I was trying to get everything situated. And it has the blue gambeson under it. And in the pictures, it looked like it was just cotton, paper thin, like a shirt. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. I won't sweat to death. Well, it comes in and it's actual gambeson. It's that thick. I put it on last night to try it on, and the second I put it on, I just started drenching with sweat. So I got my armor in. It's worth every penny that I paid for it, but I still got a lot of work to do to it till it's suitable to wear at Ice and FireCon. So
No,
I will.
you weren't expecting real armor to come with your armor.
No, well, I mean the leather is pleather. It's heavy. It looks good and everything, but the cloth underneath. I mean, this is. I mean, it could have been on a damn show for all I know. I will put on some pictures just to give you a close up, let you know what it looks like. And also, Lizzie, your picture of your dinner last night of the hamburger steak and the green beans, that's what we're having for dinner tonight because I saw your picture. So thank you. Y'all have a good one. Take care and bye.
Yeah, you too.